So as far as props, in addition to sitting in a comfortable place, whether that's in your bed, propped up with a lot of pillows and a blanket, or whether that's in a nice armchair like I'm sitting in right now, just make sure it's a place where you can really feel like you can kind of lay back and be comfortable. You're going to need a couple of props to help hold up your arms while we're doing the havening touch, which I'll explain in just a couple of minutes. But if you have, these kind of little square pillows that you can use in front of you, you might even want two of them so that you can really have a nice cushion for your arms when we're going to be doing this later. You might want to get some pillows from your bed or some king pillows even. Anything that'll really be able to help your arms stay in place so that you don't have to keep your arms up by your own power. That after about a half an hour, that can be pretty tiresome. So I would also encourage you to put your phone on Do Not Disturb, shut the volume off, because once you're immersed in this process, it's really nice to feel that you're not being interrupted in any way. We're also going to be touching our face, so I would encourage you before we begin just to wash your hands if you haven't already, and after we're finished with the webinar, again, wash your hands, since we're in this time where we don't want to be sharing anything with anybody else. So I think most people are on by now, so I'm just going to again introduce myself as Elena Kindler of Metamorphosis Havening. And I'm very, very humbled by the fact that there are so many people on this webinar tonight, because havening is really a modality that I think is extraordinary, and it makes me feel very humbled just to be able to share it with other people. And so thank you for that privilege. And let me give you 1 or 2 minutes of introduction about what havening is and how it was developed. It was developed about 10 years ago by Dr. Ronald Rudin, who is a practicing physician in Manhattan. He also has a degree in chemistry, and he developed the havening techniques. And I always like to give a very broad overview of how havening works, because if I don't, then a lot of times people will say, why are we doing some of these, series of activities during the havening? I don't understand what they're doing. So in a nutshell, havening is a neuroscience-based method, and it works on the level of the neurons in our brains, in particular in the amygdala of our brains, which is sort of that reptilian part of our brain that's the part of fight, flight, or freeze. So when something is very anxiety producing, or we're very fearful, that causes certain receptors called AMPA receptors to activate in our amygdala. So if you would imagine that my fingers are receptors, when we see something that's frightening, or we are panicky or very anxious, these receptors get activated within our brains. And that's for the very simple reason that evolutionarily, we needed to understand when something was dangerous. And so the way that we developed was a way to have these receptors activate every time that there was a dangerous situation involved. When we do the havening technique, which I'll explain to you how to do if you're new to this, I'll explain to you very shortly. It involves touch, and the touch is very rhythmic and very gentle, and it creates delta waves. And the delta waves send signals into our brains, and they trigger a neurochemical cascade that essentially washes away these activated receptors and allow us to input different emotions that we can choose ourselves to set new neural emotional pathways. And this is not typically how we're used to thinking of emotional health, but that's how havening works, and it's a very profound method When we do this type of a group havening session, as we're doing tonight, this is really the tip of the iceberg as far as how havening will work one-on-one with someone. Most of the time, I work one-on-one with people. It used to be in person, now it's on Zoom calls. But it provides a mechanism for us to really decrease extraordinarily strong traumatic emotions, whether that's from childhood events, from current events, or the like, and reset our neural pathways to increase our ability to be calmer, to be more emotionally stable and regulated, to be happier, which is a wonderful technique. So I'm very indebted to Dr. Rudin, and if you'd like to learn more about the specifics of how havening works, you can always reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it in more detail. So I think we're pretty much all on now. And so let's get started. First, some of you already know the havening movements, but others don't. So for those who are new on here today, I'm just going to go over the 3 havening movements that are involved in the havening techniques. The first is on the face, the second is on the shoulders and the upper arms, and the third is on the hands. So feel free to watch what I'm doing and then follow along. And we're not starting the havening right now. This is just giving you the techniques for when we do, you'll know what to do. So if you have glasses, you can put them up like this. I like to start here in the top of the forehead and go down in sort of a heart-shaped motion, using either, you can use the tips of your fingertips, or you can use the palms of your hands. You can rest your hands here on your cheeks and just go across your forehead like this, if you'd like, if that's comfortable for you. Some people like to go down their whole face, including their eyes. Other people like to go around their eyes, and maybe on the bridge of their nose. Some people just like to stroke their cheeks. There's no one right technique as far as how to do it. The best technique is the technique that makes you feel the most calm, and that feels the best to you. The only caveat is don't really go upwards of your face. That kind of feels a little strange to me. I think most people find it a little bit strange. You're going to want to do a general downward motion or circular motion around the eyes. So that's the area of the face. The next area is on the shoulders and the upper arms. So what you're going to want to do is cross your arms like this, and you're going to start on the top of your shoulders and go down till about the elbow in a very nice, slow, gentle stroke, as if maybe you're petting a dog or a cat, or giving a back massage or something like that. You're going to lift up your hands when you're about at the elbow, then put them on your shoulders and do it again. So you're making kind of a loop. I've turned sideways just to show you how it looks, but it would be something like this if you're sitting there at home. It's not this, like when you're cold and you're rubbing your arms up and down. It's not up and down. It's just down and then making a loop like that. Okay, so that's the second area on the shoulders and the upper arms. And the third area is on the hands. Now, of course, when you're doing your own touch, as you are right now at home, you're also activating the area of your hands when you're touching your face and when you're touching your shoulders. But if your arms get tired and you just don't want to hold them up anymore, you can just do your hands. And there are different ways to do that. You can do it like this, where your hands glide over each other like this. Some people like to do it like they're putting on lotion and they're rubbing their palms together like that. Some people like to do it like this, where they're using their fingertips on their palms. So that would look something like this, or could look something like this. Again, there's really no one way that's the correct way. The best way is the way that feels good to you. Could be anything like this. Okay, so those are the 3 areas of touch that we're going to be using today in our group havening session. And So before we begin, I just thought it would be interesting to share with you. You may remember when you registered for this webinar, I asked two questions. The first was, what are the three negative emotions that you're struggling with the most? And the second question was, what three emotions would be the most useful for you if you could feel at the end of this workshop? Which three emotions would you want to choose? I always think it's interesting. So many of us struggle with myriad feelings throughout the week. I mean, this is such an extraordinary time and such a trying time that I think people have expressed to me, and I know I've certainly felt that our emotions are really very variable very quickly, and that we seem to be more emotional than usual. So I know while before I started this process, I always used to think, well, I must be very sensitive, or I must be very weak or vulnerable because I don't hear about other people expressing their emotions the way that I feel them. So I thought it might be useful to share with you some of the emotions that people express that they're struggling with now. Most people said that they felt anxious, some variant of worried, afraid, or fearful. Many people said helpless, out of control. Some people said isolated. Some people said panicky. But there are so many different emotions that people are struggling with, and I'll just read off some of them to you. Unstable, confused, overwhelmed, out of control, uncertain, frustrated, a lack of composure, disorganized, annoyed, unforgiving, impatient, sleepless, angry, useless, sad, numb, and unmotivated were just some of the ones on the list. So if you have days or moments during your day where you're feeling that you just, there must be something wrong with you, that you're feeling all of these emotions, just know that you are not alone. There are, I would venture to say, most people struggling with their own emotions during this time too. So rather than feeling like there's something wrong with us, um, it'll be really nice after today. You'll have these tools where you can take control of your own emotional state when you need to and do some self-havening at home, even if it's 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe at the beginning of your day or at the end of your day, where you can help yourself gain more emotional control and feel a little bit brighter. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Most people, when they said the emotions that they wanted to feel at the end of this webinar, most people voted for peaceful, safe, calm, and grounded. So those are the emotions that I'm going to focus on with this havening today. But when we get to the part of the havening where we're adding in positive emotions, I would encourage all of you to think about what emotions, what positive emotions you would benefit from having the most, and add those. So even if I'm working on peaceful, safe, calm, and grounded, if you wanted to feel empowered, or you wanted to feel relieved, or invigorated, or patient, or clear, or happy, feel free to disregard the emotions that I'm working on and just put on the emotions that you need for yourself. And while that might seem a little bit fuzzy on how to do that now, I think it'll become clearer as we go forward. So, um, so let's get started. For those of you who are new, just one or two rules, which are that the havening will be more effective if you keep your eyes closed throughout the havening. And I'll tell you when we're finished and when you can open your eyes so you'll know. The hardest part, really, I say, is the first 30 seconds to a minute. I would invite all of you right now to close your eyes and to get in touch with all of those negative emotions that you've been struggling with. The feelings of being anxious, being fearful or afraid or worried, helpless, out of control, panicky, isolated, whatever you've been struggling with, I want you to get in touch with those feelings now and to really ramp up those feelings, to augment those feelings, even though that seems kind of counterintuitive because we always tell ourselves, to put them out of our minds. But for this process, the more activation that you can bring up, the more we can clear away. So take 30 seconds to a minute now and really get in touch with those feelings and try to make them as robust and as difficult as you can, and be as vulnerable with it as you can possibly be. Okay. So now what I want you to do is, on the count of 3, I want you to let all of those emotions go. And we're going to work on some distraction techniques while we begin the havening touch. So I'm going to count to 3, and then I want you to let those emotions go. 1, 2, 3. Now I want you to start the havening touch either on your face or your shoulders. And I want to do a speed round. So I want everyone to go as fast as they can. Let's do 60 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Excellent. Okay. Now you can go back and start a very nice, gentle, and slow rhythm. If you need to open your eyes just to see how fast I'm doing it right now as an example, you can, and then go back to closing your eyes. Nice and slow and gentle. And what I want you to do is I want you to chant out loud, and remember, nobody can hear you, while you're continuing the havening touch, to chant out loud all the fruits and vegetables that you can think of. Make sure that you're continuing with the havening touch while you're doing that. Good. Now, I want you to start at 150 and count backwards by 3s out loud. Like this: 150, 147, 144. And just continue at your own pace while you're continuing the havening touch. Good. And now I would encourage you to switch your havening touch location. If you've been doing your face, why don't you try your shoulders? If you've been doing your shoulders, you can try your hands or your face. And now I want everyone to think about every boy's name that they can think of and say it out loud. Like John, Josh, Noah. Continue on your own. Good. The next activity that we're going to do is we're going to hum together. We're going to hum the song Happy Birthday. So again, making sure you're continuing the havening touch and maybe choosing another location for this part of the havening. Let's all hum Happy Birthday together. Very nice. Now I want you to imagine that you're doing some vacuuming. And whenever you're pushing the vacuum, you're going to count out loud. So if you have ever done vacuuming before, you can imagine pushing the vacuum cleaner. Do 1, 2, 3, and you count on your own while you're doing the havening touch. I want you to just envision a room in your house or a room in your apartment or your space. I just want you to imagine how it looks, visualizing the room, visualizing the hum of the vacuum cleaner, seeing all of the lint and all the dirt coming up, and just putting yourself in that space. Good. And I'd encourage you now to shift your location of your touch. If you haven't done your face yet, why don't you give that a try? If you haven't done your hands, why don't you give that a try? And I want you to chant out loud every third letter of the alphabet at your own pace. So start with A, then go to C, and on, while you're continuing the havening touch. Good. So now while you're continuing the havening touch, I want you to picture yourself on a beach. Imagine that you're on a beach on a beautiful summer day, and the sun is just in full force in the sky, and you feel the nice warmth of the sun's rays on you. And there's no one else on the beach, it's just you, and you're just walking along the shoreline. I want you to imagine that you have a tote bag on your shoulder, and you're going to be looking for shells or little rocks or any interesting little trinkets that you can pick up. So while you're continuing the havening touch, I want you to imagine that as you're walking along the beach, you're getting calmer and more relaxed with every step that you're taking. And I want you to just look down in the waves, and when you see a little shell or a little rock that you like, I want you to pick it up and put it in your tote bag and count out loud 1, 2. And let's see how many you can pick up. And I want you to really look at them. I want you to examine each shell or each little rock or trinket. And at the same time, see if you can smell that salt air of the beach and feel the heat from the sun's rays soaking into your skin. Very nice. So now I want you to just take one or two nice deep breaths in or out, in and out. And we're going to do some different techniques right now. You're going to continue with doing the havening touch. You might want to change your location now. If you've been doing your arms for a while, you might want to do your hands or do your face. But I want you to do a body scan right now. I want you to sense whether there are any parts of your body that tend to be more susceptible to feeling tense or hold your tension or your anger or your fear or your anxiety. For a lot of people, that's at the back of the neck, the upper shoulders. It might be a tightness in the chest or a tightness in your low back. For some people, it's a feeling in the gut, in the belly. Just scan your body and see if there are any areas of tension there. And if not now, think back to during the week, were there any areas that were holding your anxiety, your fears, your worries? I want you to focus on those areas. There's a modality called internal family systems by Richard Schwartz. And he has this very interesting technique, which I'd like to do now with you, where instead of pushing those fears and anxieties away, we comfort them. So imagine if you can go back in time to yourself at 5 or 6 years old. And imagine if that little you, that child like you, had those fears and those anxieties, felt tense or pain or stiffness in those areas. I want you to imagine that little child sitting on your lap and you giving that child a huge hug, maybe a little back rub, or just having a real nice conversation with that little younger version of you. I want you to say the things that that little child with those tensions and those worries would need to hear. So at the same time, I encourage you to both be the person who comforts and feels comforted, who soothes and feels soothed, who nurtures and feels nurtured, all at the same time. Just talking to that little version of you saying, it's okay. You're safe. You're healthy. We're going to get through this together. Whatever it is that that little child needs to hear to feel safe and okay, to let those worries and anxieties go, to calm those fears. and to feel more in control and less helpless. Very nice. So now I want you to take this time to say goodbye and come back to your adult self here and then, here and now. And scan your body again. And if there are any remaining areas of tension or stress or worry or fear, I want you to take those negative emotions and imagine that you're blowing up a balloon with them. So to take in a deep breath, to blow them into this balloon like this. And do that a few times until the remaining tension or worry, negative emotions are filling up this balloon bigger and bigger. I want you to take that balloon and watch it float up into the sky far away from you. I want you to feel how much better your body feels, how much lighter, how much easier your body feels saying goodbye to those negative emotions. And now we're going to do a slightly different technique where we're going to add in the positive emotions. This is actually my favorite part. I think this is magic happening. So I began earlier by saying that most people felt that it would be useful to add in feelings of feeling safe, peaceful, grounded, and calm. So that's what I'm going to work on. But if you have something else that you need, by all means, you could use the same techniques to add in particular, what it is that you need, and only you know it. So please don't hesitate to deviate and make it your own. So for everyone, let's start with feeling calm, deeply calm. I want you to get in touch with a time in your life, whether that was a week ago, a month ago, 50 years ago. When you get in touch with a time in your life where you've deeply, deeply felt calm. For some people, that might be after a massage or a hot bath. For other people, that could be spending time with the person that they love. Doesn't matter what the event is, but I want you to connect with that time in your life where you felt deeply, deeply calm. And once you've connected with that feeling, I want you to chant out loud while you're continuing the havening touch. Chant calm, calm, calm. Chant that for about 30 seconds out loud so you can hear yourself. Chant the word calm. And continue the havening touch at the same time. Very good. Now I want you to imagine that at the center of your body, you have a beautiful crystal tube that runs from head to toe. And we are going to fill that crystal tube up with these positive feelings. We're going to start with calm. Give calm a color. If calm could be any color in the world, what color would it be? Good. I want you to imagine that you're pouring a liquid of that color into that crystal tube at the center of your body, and you are filling yourself up with the deep feelings of calm. You're going to fill up that tube part of the way, and you're going to leave some room for the other positive emotions that we're also going to add in. Let's take another new one now. Let's do safe. I want you to think of a time in your life where you felt truly safe. Maybe that was a time when you were a young child or an infant. Maybe it was a time just a few weeks ago. Time when you felt completely safe. And when you've connected with that feeling, while you're continuing the havening touch, and maybe you want to switch your spot right now, maybe go to your face or go to your hands. I want you to connect with that feeling of being safe and chant safe out loud for 30 seconds while you're continuing the havening touch. And what we're doing now is we're laying down the groundwork for new emotional pathways to add in the emotional response that we want to have. We're adding in a feeling of safety. Good. And now I want you to give the feeling of being safe another color. How does safe look to you? What color is it? And when you've picked a color, I want you to again imagine that you're pouring that color into that beautiful crystal tube at the center of your body. And you're watching those two colors mix and swish together, those feelings of feeling calm and feeling safe and filling yourself up at your core, feeling safe and feeling calm. Good. Now let's add in another emotion. Let's add in peaceful. And again, I would encourage you, if you would like to add in something other than peaceful, then you just connect with that feeling. A time when you felt deeply peaceful or whatever other feeling that you need. And really connect with that feeling. And once you've connected with that feeling, I want you to chant it out loud for 30 seconds while you're continuing the havening touch. Really connect with that feeling. Beautiful. So now again, you're going to imagine that that feeling, peacefulness, has a color. And you're going to pour in that liquid of that color into that beautiful crystal tube at the center of your body. By now, you can feel all those feelings of calm and safe, and peaceful, filling you up. Seeing those beautiful colors mixing together. And let's add in one more. Let's add in the feeling of feeling grounded. And again, if you want to change this for your different feeling, please be my guest. So for everyone else, let's connect with a time in your life where you felt deeply grounded. Deeply grounded. And once you've connected with that feeling, you're going to chant that word grounded out loud for 30 seconds while you're continuing the havening touch. Good. And now again, connect that feeling of being grounded with a color. And imagine you're pouring that color, that feeling of being grounded, into that crystal tube at the center of your core. And now you should have 4 colors in there. 1 for safe, 1 for calm, 1 for peaceful, 1 for grounded. And I want you to imagine that you've filled yourself up so much with those 4 positive emotions that that central tube is now overflowing. And your entire body is filling up with those feelings. I want you to imagine every cell in your body, every nook and cranny of your body being bathed in that beautiful liquid of feeling safe and peaceful, grounded and calm, until your entire body is filled with those feelings and those emotions. While you're continuing the havening touch, imagine that you're completely filled up with those colors, with those feelings of being safe, peaceful, grounded, and calm. And I want you to take one deep breath in and out to lock in those feelings in your body, in your nervous system, in your brain, so that you remember how it feels to feel safe, peaceful, calm, and grounded. Very good. And while you're continuing the havening touch, the last part of our group havening tonight that we're going to do is make a mental movie. I want you to imagine that you are making the movie of your dreams in your own mind. The movie of how you'd like to see yourself handling what's happening in the world today. Feeling the way that you want to feel. So you're going to be the screenwriter, you're going to be the cameraman, you're going to be the director, and you're going to be the star of this movie. So I want you to picture yourself initially on a very, very long highway, and you're the only car on the road. And you can make your car any car you want. You could be driving a Ferrari, you could be driving a Prius, whatever makes you happy. And I want you to look back in the rearview mirror, and I want you to see this dreary, wet weather we've been having. I want you to see all kinds of potholes and obstacles in the road behind you. And those are going to represent those feelings that you're leaving behind today, those feelings of feeling anxious or fearful, afraid, worried, helpless, out of control. Whatever feelings you have been struggling with in the past, I want you to see those in the rear view mirror as behind you. And then I want you to look in front of you and see that the sun is shining. The road is clear and straight and easy. There's no potholes or no obstacles on the road. You're just driving, feeling carefree, feeling safe, peaceful, grounded, and calm. And this road is going to be a metaphor for your life. As you leave here today, and as you go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow and start your week, that you'll be able to feel safe and peaceful and grounded and calm, just like you do now. And I want you to imagine in your mental movie, I want you to imagine now your everyday life as it is during these times. And I want you to see yourself easily adapting to the ever-changing circumstances and restrictions in our lives, in our communities. But instead of feeling those negative emotions, you feel safe, peaceful, grounded, and calm. And I want you to see yourself going through your day, getting done what needs to be done, easily, stress-free, without worry or concern. And I also want you to see yourself making time for your own self-care, whatever that may be for you. Maybe that's getting outside and taking a walk. Maybe that's just sitting down with a cup of tea in the morning, or cuddling up in your favorite chair and reading a science fiction novel, whatever it is. See yourself making time for your own self-care. Feeling safe, peaceful, grounded, and calm. And also see yourself being available to help others. When we're good, we're all that much better for those around us. So I want you to see yourself going through your day, making time for self-care, helping others, and viewing this time as an opportunity to spend quality time with your family, connecting with friends and loved ones, finding the time to be creative, to be generous, to be happy, to have fun, and even to be open to the possibility of experiencing some of the best times in your life in unexpected ways, ways that you may not even be able to imagine. All the while feeling calm and safe and healthy, in control of your emotions, grounded, peaceful, and resilient too. And I want you to see that you're not so triggered, you're not so easily overwhelmed or saddened or made to feel anxious. You're actually just able to ride the waves of the vicissitudes of life as it is these days without too much trouble, without too much anxiety, feeling much more safe, peaceful, grounded, and calm. And finally, I want you to see everyone that you know getting back to a state of normalcy, feeling healthy, more connected, appreciating your life and all of those in it, with a future that's safe, where everyone is healthy, feeling connected, calm, safe, peaceful, grounded, and hopeful. Hopeful that the next week will be better than the last, and every week from now on will get better and better and better. Now I want you to take one final deep breath in and out to lock in this feeling of feeling safe, peaceful, calm, grounded, hopeful, and resilient as well. And once you've done that, you can rest your arms by your sides, and slowly you can start to open your eyes. That will be the conclusion of our group havening session tonight. But I would love to hear feedback from all of you. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you feel a lot more at ease, a lot calmer than you did when we started today. And to remind you that what you've just done, you can continue to do on your own as a daily self-care practice or when you need it. You don't need to spend 45 minutes or an hour doing it as we've done it tonight. Some people like to spend a few minutes in the shower every morning deciding what would be the emotion that they could use more of that day. Maybe you'll wake up tomorrow and you'll say, you know what, I just want to feel hopeful today. I just want to feel hopeful that everything is going to be okay. So the trick again is to connect with a time when you deeply feel that emotion. Let's say it's hopeful. And then input the havening touch and chant that word out loud. Hopeful, 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 hopeful. Or maybe you don't need to feel hopeful. Maybe you just want to feel calm. Or maybe you want to feel motivated, right? I'm just looking at what other people have written in. Maybe you need to feel at ease or empowered or invigorated or patient. Whatever it is that you might need, try it. Try it every day in the morning for 3 or 4 minutes. And I would encourage you to do it for a week or two and just see, just start to notice. I have a lot of clients, one-on-one clients that I work with that tell me that they feel that they're really cultivating this quality, that they're only spending a few minutes a day doing it, and yet it really is starting to bring out this quality in them more and more. So why don't you give it a try and see? That's something that you could do with this practice that you've learned tonight. Another thing that you can do is if you're going through your day and maybe you have kids at home and they need you, and maybe you're trying to work remotely and your boss needs you and you're being pulled in a million different directions, and all of a sudden you're feeling that anxiety starting to grow. Just take 2 minutes where no one can see you. Sometimes I duck into the bathroom. That's where I have my private time. And just chant a positive emotion that you could use. Maybe that's calm, maybe that's relaxed, maybe that's in control, whatever it is. Just spend 3 minutes chanting that out loud, adding in the havening touch, and see if that doesn't just take down what was starting to build and bring it down to much more manageable levels. You could do that anytime that you want. You now have the tools to be able to cultivate your own emotional regulation, your own feelings of positivity anytime and anywhere that you want to do that. The one caveat that I would say is do not chant a negative emotion. For example, if you're feeling anxious, you don't want to chant anxious, anxious. You don't want to do that. That's going to bring up a lot of anxiety. That's a technique that you would only want to do with somebody like myself, who's a certified havening techniques practitioner, because that can bring up a lot. So you'd want to chant the positive emotion, not the negative emotion, just to make sure that's very clear for everybody. I really appreciate everyone joining tonight. And if you felt like this was very useful for you, and you also feel that you have a lot of really deep negative emotions that maybe this touched the surface, but that you need to go a little bit deeper, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to try to share my screen to see if I could share my my contact information with you. I can be reached through my website, metamorphosishavening.com. You can reach out to me via email at elena@metamorphosishavening.com or on my cell phone, which is 917-952-5405. I do work with clients one-on-one all the time now through Zoom, and it's actually working seamlessly, just like we've done tonight, but in a much more individualistic way. And for people who are really struggling with a lot deeper emotions, don't suffer, don't struggle. There are people, there are resources that can help you. People like myself, you can always look for a practitioner on the havening.org website, or you can reach out to me. But find a certified havening techniques practitioner that can help you deal with whatever is burdening you, because it's a tough time, and tough times bring out those emotions even more strongly for a lot of people, including myself. So, you know, I'm here for you. Happy to help in any way that I can. And please feel free to join. I'm running this same webinar every Sunday night at 8 until this pandemic is over and we can get back to our regular lives. Please feel free to spread the word. It's free. It's always going to be free. This webinar is going to be free. So if it helps you, please, by all means, feel free to join every Sunday. And I think that's just about it. If anyone has any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for spending this hour with me, and I hope it was useful for you. All of you, just know that there's a safe space in this world for you, and you can create it yourself whenever you need to. So, thank you. Have a wonderful night.